Hi everyone, last time we discussed discursive changes and structural changes in assessment during the GenAI era. Today, let's continue to explore the two-lane role approach in educational assessment in this context. This video is based on Curtis' article to discuss why an all or none approach to generative AI, integrated and assessment is insupportable. What is two-lane role approach? A two-lane approach is also called all or none approach, involving two types of assessment when using GenAI in higher education assessments. The use of generative AI tools is strictly forbidden in Lane 1. Assessment in this lane must have a high degree of security to ensure academic integrity, such as supervised exams. In Lane 2, students can use GenAI in any way to complete any components of their unsecured assessments. The two-lane approach is often praised for its simplicity. However, it is overly simplistic, because it overlooks the reality that student use of generative AI in assessments is unavoidable and hard to detect. Moreover, completely prohibiting the use of generative AI might limit students' ability to gradually develop their ideas while learning to read and think critically about the subject. On the other hand, if GenAI is allowed without restrictions, students might simply input questions into GenAI, copy and paste the answers, and submit them as their own work. This could lead to a decrease in academic engagement and learning effectiveness, as students might rely too heavily on GenAI without truly engaging with their studies. So, between these two extreme choices, is there a middle ground, such as allowing the use of GenAI but imposing some restriction on assessments? The authors argue that while regulation cannot completely prevent students from cheating, this restriction encourages students to identify rule violations and take action when they happen. Thus, even though AI policies cannot prevent students from violating rules, establishing rules remains valuable. These regulations help maintain academic integrity and provide a framework for effective behavior, promoting accountability and ethical conduct in education. Some scholars are also concerned about the assessment security because GenAI use cannot be reliably detected by humans or tools. The all or none approach distinguished between secure and insecure assessments, but assessment security is actually a continuance, not just two separate categories. The authors emphasize that achieving perfect security in assessment is impossible, but educators can use a layered strategy to set up multiple barriers, making cheating more difficult. Although these approaches cannot detect all students who violate the rules restricting the use of GenAI in assessment, identifying some violators can help avoid many other students who might consider violating the restrictions. The all or none approach meets many goals of higher education assessments, like building knowledge and skills gradually. It doesn't leave room for middle ground where some use of GenAI is okay, and assessment security isn't completed. Worse still, this strategy seems to be rooted in an active attitude that requires students to act with integrity in their assessments and to detect when they have not. Therefore, the authors believe that AI policy should move beyond simple prohibition or permissions. The appropriate use of AI will depend not only on the field but also on the type of learning tasks and the goals students are expected to achieve. Thank you for listening. If you have any idea, just comment.